and welcome to yet another edition of the Democratic Newsroom. Our moot question today, well, there's been a bit of a tax bonanza with the GST reformulation. Was it economic prudence or political compulsions? That's what we're going to be taking to our band of editors this evening. It's a bit of an express debate. We have 20 minutes to thrash it out. Joining us this evening, Rajdeep Sardesai, our consulting editor, Geeta Mohan getting us the Trump tariff tirade angle in all of this. Gaurav Sawant, freshly back from China and the SEO summit. We have my colleague Karishma, who's joining us from Business Today. We have a team from Business Today: Sakshi Batra, Siddharth Zarabi, Karishma, all of them coming in. Maria as well joining us. Maria Shakil there. Rajdeep, like I said, we are in a bit of an express crunch mode. Your quick points on where you stand on the GST cuts.
There are so many experts here. I'm going to listen. So, please tell me exactly what it means and why it's been done. My general sense, though, very quickly, is that I think it's a reform in the right direction. Anything that leads to simplification, rationalization must be applauded in our system. Is it GST 1.5 or GST 2.0? I think that we'll know over the next few months, whether it is a step-by-step or a dramatic change that we're going to see. I don't think just changing the rates is enough. You're going to have to do much more in terms of compliance, of ensuring that the GST Inspector Raj, which is very much there, also comes to an end. But net, I think it's a step in the right direction, which must be applauded, whatever the reasons for it are.
All right, let's quickly bring in Siddharth Zarabi. Like I said, our whole business team is here. And Siddharth Zarabi, bringing you in on this and also adding that whole point where certain opposition rule states have raised, which are seemingly poorer states like West Bengal, Punjab, that there needs to be revenue compensation.
Well, revenue losses of all states have always been compensated. There is not a single instance of a state actually not being compensated. Why has GST come in now with the changes that have been proposed to come into effect? The year that GST came in to now, collections have gone up 3 times. So there is far more money that the government at the state and the center, remember this is not just a center tax, have collected, and therefore there is some comfort with regard to protecting any loss on revenue, especially in certain kinds of states which may be manufacturing states. Many states are consuming states. So the macro environment, Preeti, for doing this kind of a cut was never better. Could it have been done earlier? Could you have done it when collections had only gone up 2 times? Those are questions that can constantly be debated. But the comfort in terms of the collections trend has given this strength to the GST Council. All states unanimously agreeing, despite opposition states saying they need
dissent notes.
They need protection, and very clearly that protection will come in. Very quick point. Alongside, we also know that a big center-state revenue sharing formula through the Finance Commission will come in. Many states have an eye on that as well.
All right, Gaurav Sawant, you want to come in on that because, what Siddharth touched on and which many people are talking of, the timing of it all. Are we trying to offset the Trump tariffs which would be kicking in at the same time?
So Trump tariffs from the 27th of August, they've kicked in, but this is a much bigger reform. It should help mitigate those challenges. It just means more money in your pocket and mine. And when there's more money in your pocket and mine, Hindi में पुरानी कहावत है, दान की बछिया के दांत नहीं गिनते. We know when you're getting more money in your pocket, enjoy it, spend it. Look, there is a first order effect and there's a second order effect. First order effect, you'll have more money in your pocket in festival season. So watch what happens during Navratri, during Dhanteras. And when you buy more, will it spur more manufacturing? If it spurs more manufacturing, especially in areas, your farm sector, your dairy sector, that's where taxes have specifically been brought down to a lower slab. Does that mean you spur manufacturing? The moment you do that, it also means less inflation, lower interest rates. That's what the RBI would be watching. All of that happens, then all those foreign powers who want to, press India or keep India down, they'll fail. So that's why perhaps all of us, we spend more, we make more.
Rajdeep, I think wants to come in, but I want to go around the table. I want to bring in Maria. I want to bring in. You want to come in. You want to come in, but I'm not. I'm not.
I'm listening. Gaurav is today our economist in the house. Go ahead.
So anyway, I'm going to bring in Geeta, but before that, Maria is freshly back after interviewing Piyush Goyal, Minister. Maria, there were lots of questions that are posed. Is it with an eye on the Bihar elections? Trump tariff was, one such angle. You just spoke to the Minister. What did he say?
Yes, so I think the point here, particularly to do with health and life insurance, that is one sector that I think will be impacted positively, and so will be the healthcare sector. I think these are two sectors which I will be watching out for, because the healthcare industry in India has become almost out of reach for those who have to take care of their families, who are suffering from cancer and other such diseases. So I think that is one area that I'll be watching out for. And Preeti, I did ask that question to the minister about what P. Chidambaram has said, that is it coming 8 years too late? And his response was that yes, it is. The fact is that it's there. And I would see these reforms as almost like a continuity reform, something which happened 6 months ago in terms of the budget announcement which was made by the finance minister. So I see this as setting tone for what will be coming next. So the Modi government has sent the message that these are next generation GST reforms. And why are these called next generation was the question also I asked the minister. And he said that, because it is almost timed with how they are preparing a roadmap for India going forward till 2047.
There was something that we were discussing in the edit meet today, and Siddharth Zarabi came up with one, Siddharth, if you remember this morning, where you said that this is practically Nirmala Sitharaman correcting what Arun Jaitley did wrong. We are just giving you the tidbits there. So, Geeta, you want to come in? Because a lot of experts are also hoping that this will somewhere down the line offset the tariffs that we'll be facing where America's concerned.
Well, I do agree, I will count the teeth, because what are we as if you're not journalists and questioning why it's being done now? It is, in a way, I think, to offset the impact of tariffs. There would be a lot of goods in our go-downs in some time from now, which will require markets. And America certainly is not that market at this point in time for us till we actually negotiate terms and conditions which are favorable to India without allowing them to cross the red lines of agriculture and dairy. And therefore, what we're looking at is maybe an uptick in consumerism. Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. I want to quickly bring in Sakshi and Karishma. And Sakshi, let's begin with you, because there are lots of questions. What gets cheaper? What gets more expensive? Of course, give us your 2 bits on how you see, the restructuring of GST, and what should we be looking out for?
Preeti, first up, I think this was one tax reform that was, initially also labeled as Gabbar Singh tax.
Now by the Congress.
And, now
right.
It's being seen as a good and simple tax. So that's a good part that everybody is on board with that. Simplification was the need of the hour and long-standing demand, and that's finally come in. Of course, we can debate on whether the end products, of course, it's good for the consumers. It will push a lot of consumer demand as well. But what happens on the manufacturing side is something that we need to find out, whether, the manufacturers will lose out on a lot when it comes to the input tax credit, and whether they will be, making up with it and, covering up for their operational costs as well at some stage or the other. Otherwise, they will hike the prices, and ultimately, again, it will come back to the consumers again. So that's one aspect that we need to find out. For sectors like Maria pointed out, I think insurance, it's a great thing. I think Siddharth has been for long asking for this, that, we should have a complete exemption on health and life insurance. That's finally come in. But I did speak to Dr. Tapan Singhal this morning itself, and he did say that we definitely welcome this. Of course, a lot of things will depend whether the entire benefit will be passed on to the consumers, is when we do know that the ancillary sectors also come on board. Say, for instance, for insurance, hospitals will have to come on board and also pass on that benefit to the consumers, because until and unless that happens, sooner or later the insurers will have to hike the premiums, and ultimately again it will be back to square one. So those are the issues that we should definitely look at.
See, it's interesting. I'm so glad that we had the BT team. Karishma, your 2 cents. What about the luxury goods, it's called the sin tax here, which is like 40%. I want to know what happens to SUVs and all of that now.
Yeah, firstly, thank you. The youngest, you've come last to the youngest one in the room.
This is the jibe. She's making an ageist jibe.
But She was the person who was available in that room in National
Right.
Media Center when the finance minister was making that
Exactly.
announcement.
So now that you're done with your
ground.
ages jibe on all of us, continue.
And ironically, I'm being asked on luxury goods. But anyway, yeah, the 40% sin tax was very much on the expected lines. They were always on the 28% bracket. Rather, to be honest, they were paying more. If you see the compensation cess,
Right.
it ranges from
It'll come
close
down.
to 5% to actually 28%. So currently, a lot of people are paying around 50% tax as a whole when they're going to buy a sin good or a demerit good in the technical language that's used in the council. So right now, they'll continue to pay 40%. But how long will they continue to pay 40% is the question. Because one compensation cess once it ends, which could be likely by the end of the year, that's what our sources are hinting us. Will there be a new cess? Will there be something new additional levy that could come in? Because that question has been unanswered in the council.
Tell me one thing. So, what is the time limit that people really have? So, somebody who wants to book a luxury car, कि अभी कर लो बाद में
That's a
expensive
question
हो
you
जाएगा.
asked
Is what? Which is what is the time? So, you should do it immediately, right? Before.
I think
Before 22nd.
Well, we are not giving any advice here.
No advice. Okay, fine.
But
So,
Preeti, can I come in on what Rajdeep said?
Of course.
Rajdeep, so let's
We've
take-
laughed too long.
Yeah, let's take a long-term view in terms of 2025 and being a very special year. You've been around, and I'm sure you covered the dream budget. Frankly, I have not seen a year in many years across governments, in fact, where you had in the same calendar year and in fact in the same financial year a direct income tax cut and a massive indirect tax cut. And this adds to a situation where in 2024 there were questions about the strength of the government because of the reduced mandate, the fact that would it be able to keep its allies and NDA together, and yet we see a consensus. And remember, this was supposed to be a 2-day meeting and it just happened in 1 day. So clearly a political consensus to offer relief to the middle class is perhaps driving the consensus across party lines.
You know, we've seen, Siddharth, in this country, whenever you actually have governments that seemingly are weaker, they tend to take stronger decisions. Even the dream budget that you spoke out was a united front government, which was going to fall at any time. If you look at 1991, it was a minority government. I'm not likening these to those decisions necessarily, but you know what I find strange, and I wish I had a cover of your BT, which was put out
Business Today, for those who are not. Yeah.
Business Today, just a couple of days ago, which is that you're right. The government is trying to push demand, trying to push consumption, trying to push investment cycles. The truth of the matter is business confidence is at 11-quarter low. Not my view, the view of your BT survey. The fact is demand is tepid.
A month old. Now it will definitely have changed.
It may be a month old. The truth of the matter is Rome is not built in a month. I don't believe that business confidence is suddenly going to transform in the next few weeks as a result of what's happened today. There is a mismatch at the moment. And I don't know what the reason is. You guys will know better. You track business better. The fact is business confidence is at a low. Domestic demand has been tepid and has been tepid for a long period of time. It's not just the COVID effect, it's none of that. Something is missing. And what is that missing factor? Is that missing factor going to be changed by rationalizing GST rates? Of course not. It's got to go beyond that. And therefore, I feel that, you know, this tendency to see the glass always as half full. Narrative, bana lo, everything, sab kuch changa hai. This sab kuch changa.
I knew it was too good to be true.
No,
It was there. I didn't have to use
No, I'm only asking you
gavel.
based on your survey. I would like to know from you experts, why is business confidence at 11-quarter
I'll come to you,
low
Gaurav.
as per the Business Today magazine survey?
Okay,
That's
I just
what
want to
know.
because like
And
I
this is
said
before
before
tariffs. This is before tariffs kicked in. So why GST
allow
come
me
out before tariffs
Okay,
kicked in?
Gaurav wants to come in.
No, I
Let
just want to
Gaurav
say,
come in.
you either look at the glass half full or you always look at a glass half empty. You know,
I'm not
even
looking-
if
I'm
some-
asking a
no,
question.
Sure. You look at a glass half
Give
full.
me an answer, sir. Give me
You
an
look at a
answer.
glass half full
Why is
or-
the Business Today survey saying India, and Siddharth is the editor, why is it saying that our business confidence is at 11-quarter low?
Well,
Okay, Siddharth, go ahead.
it was before tariffs, like you said. It's
Yes.
before the GST cut, and in the next quarter survey, which we will again bring to you and discuss
You do
with
every
everyone.
quarter?
Yes, I'm sure it will change. It's clearly not a 1-year survey It is a quarterly survey where the responses and sentiment
So
obviously
why
change.
is the sentiment not great?
Well, you know, frankly, what is
Why
the-
is business not putting their money
Wha-
where their
wha-
mouth is? I spoke to a leading businessman today morning.
No, Rajiv, let me
Someone who
just-
was enthusiastic about GST yesterday night, now he's gone through the fine print and he says it doesn't work for me.
no,
He
well-
says it's tactically good, strategically bad. These are his very words on WhatsApp.
Well,
to me.
you know, you would have to do more disclosure to figure out which sector and what are that.
He's in a
particular-
major consumer sector.
Well, I think there's been across the board rationalization as far as consumer.
Okay, quickly,
But
because-
Rajdeep, the key issue is what do you do to revive an economy that has been successively buffeted by external headwinds? Remember when we did that massive corporation tax cut in September 2019, it was outside budget. It was supposed to spur a private sector revival. Few months later, COVID happened. COVID comes in, now Trump happens. Trump brings in tariffs. He is now threatening second, third phase of tariffs. So in such a situation, what all can a government do?
But
All right, let
are
me-
we- are we
okay.
just reactive, Siddharth, rather
Okay.
than just understanding the need of the hour, like
8
reforms
to
should
9 months of meetings, more than
Yeah,
50,
that's true.
50 meetings
It might have come at this
done
time,
by
but
the
there were
finance
there
minister.
yeah, there were
I'm
meetings.
talking about reforms.
And let's be
All right,
fair-
okay.
and let me be fair
These
to this
reforms
government.
shouldn't have
Let
come
me be fair
because
to
of
this
any-
government. The glass half full. We have high level, our macroeconomic indicators are looking good. Low inflation, growth higher than most countries in the world at a moment like this. There is, there are strong reasons to believe that we are in a sweet spot as well. My only problem is we should not be in such a sweet spot
Okay.
that we.
All right, let me take in. I want to take in final. Okay, Gaurav,
the
come.
ground reality is looking at the glass always half empty when the whole world is looking at India as that bright spot in the world, rising this quarter at 7.8%. Who else is rising at 7.8%? Tell me one more country that's rising at this pace.
That's the glass half full.
Large economy.
That's the glass
right?
half full.
A
agree.
large economy and all efforts that are being undertaken. कोई हाथ पे हाथ धरे तो बैठा नहीं है. Making an effort to ensure that you put more money in your pocket so that you spend more. But then, in the Mahabharata, there was Shalyaraj who would always bring down Karn's morale by saying, yeah, you're doing good, but Karn is better. So you can either be a Shalyaraj
Arjun.
or you can be a Yogeshwar Shri Krishna and
Okay.
spur Arjun to do better.
Hello?
That was a very quick
What is
response.
one to say? What is one to say then? I still ask the question. I asked it of my BT colleagues. Why is it
Okay,
your
we don't
survey
have-
showing business confidence
I have
at 11 quarter
last
low?
four
And
minutes.
what is showing that we are growing at 7.8%
All right.
the
That's the
same
positive,
quarter?
the same positive and the
Well, the
negative.
good news is popcorn is at 5%. If you have
Even
any
caramel,
confusion,
even caramel.
everything is at 5%. Parathas are at a lower rate. So celebrate that fact.
Okay.
It's very clear.
All right, I want to take last.
Can I put one absurdity in that? That
Rajat.
you have aerated drinks at 40%
And
because they
caramel
have
popcorn.
sugar, and you have kaju katli and gulab jamun, which are not so good for your diabetes and obesity at 5%. You're encouraging
Okay, but
Indians to
that's
have gulab jamun and kaju katli and
The
saying,
choice is
aerated
yours.
drinks mat piyo.
The choice
Okay.
is yours.
Rajdeep,
Makhao.
that- okay.
Stay healthy.
No, both should be at 40% or both should be at 5%.
Okay, but that's a different debate entirely, which goes into the realms of health. But there was also something, Mario, and I'll get you in on this, right? In midst of all of this, the Congress is saying, "Dekho, hum to hamesha keh rahe the." We were calling it the Gabbar Singh tax. Rahul Gandhi tweeted all the way back in 2016, where he said that it needs to be 18%, capped at 18%. Finally, you've heard us.
And today, the former Commerce Minister, Anand Sharma, who also spoke to us, Preeti, said that this was the need of the hour. Der aaye durust aaye, but he lauded the government.
Chidambaram saying that.
Yes,
Right.
even P. Chidambaram is saying that. So I think that argument whether it's too much, too late, is something that can be debated. But then, we always see course correction as a phrase which is seen as very, very positive.
No,
So
I
the
think
government
everyone's
has taken-
welcomed it.
yes.
Nobody's contesting it. Everyone's welcomed it. At best, what is happening right now, Siddharth, is a bit of trying to take credit for it, because the Congress is saying, "हमने तो 2016 में बोला था to cap it at 18%."
The Congress began the process. It was Modi who actually took the ball across the finishing line. And just one
If I-
point.
30
What-
seconds.
no,
Does
Gaurav,
it help
just-
mitigate the challenges posed by the US tariffs?
Absolutely. I'll just add
I was
that
gonna-
business confidence
Geeta can
would
come
be
in on that.
markedly different, where we have had two T's: direct tax, indirect tax, and if there is a tariff deal, then you will see business confidence doing a
Geeta,
bumper
you have
rebound.
20 seconds, and I
That's what
want
I'm
to get
saying, that we have to
Sakshi
wait
and
for the
Kavishma.
tariff deal to come through to see how this is going to impact India. But for now, I think it will offset the adverse impacts for sure.
All right. Will it offset the adverse impact, or Sakshi, we also need to now step back and recalibrate and see?
100%, but how much is the question, and that of course we'll have to see, and how long will it really take to finally come down is something. But I clearly want to say at the end, any step that leads to lowering of inflation, that boosts growth, that improves consumer sentiment without impacting the fiscal math is something which is good for the economy.
But will it happen? Will it lower
Yes,
inflation?
Yes,
Is
100%.
it-
100%.
All right. Karishma, she's the youngest. I'm going to give her the last word. So, the final word to you. What are you looking at, and what should one go and buy today?
Actually, I was discussing this with Sakshi that I'd go to the hair salon because
Yes.
it's cheaper.
With the input tax credit, it is
How
at
much is
5%.
How much is that less?
Anti-luxury.
I also want to understand from Sakshi, why did 2-day meeting end in one single day?
Consensus. The states and center, they were all on board. Everything was fine. In fact, I even spoke to them while they were having their lunch. There was paneer and dal.
Both in price also.
But can I ask you a
Paneer
can I ask you a-
Paneer is at 0%.
But can I ask you this? I mean, something as simple as health and life insurance, which for the longest time was within the
Rajiv, quickly ask.
GST regime. This should have been
Happened
settled
before.
a long time ago. I mean, what was
Okay,
stopping
der
the
aay
government?
durust
It was
aay.
there.
Der
Der
aay
aay
durust
durust
aay.
aay can be true of other things. Health and life insurance
that
was
is-
staring
that
in
is
your
See,
face.
that's all the time.
That is still tricky.
Okay, that's all the
It
time.
took us 3 years to get there, and we've been campaigning
Okay,
for
I know.
that.
I really enjoyed this debate because it was far more civil than our usual democratic newsrooms. I haven't had any need to use the gavel. We're going to end it right there. Thank you all for joining us. Now, of course, we're going to keenly look at what would be the impact and the aftermath of this. For now, enjoy. You're going to the salon. All right. Thank you for joining us. Up next, to stay tuned. It's To The Point.